Are Democrats coming back or just getting poorer? The problem with Republicans is Republicans. And just another quick lie about global warming. That all next on The Michael Newman Show. Hey there, it's Michael Newman. Michael Newman Show. Hello. Please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. That is your window into me. The blog is there. I'll have all the links for today's podcast, so you can go check out the stories for yourself. You can contact me via the contact link. Send me an email. You can also check out my social media. My Twitter handle is NewManiac1, so go check that out. The services link, of course, and support the show. Please support the show. Click the support icon. It takes you to a page that tells you about Patreon, and from there, you can go to Patreon and support the show for as little as $1 a month. A couple of things are probably going to change on Patreon here in short order when I find the time to change the way things work a little bit on there, but I'll let you know as that happens. I got to tell you, I've been the show has been kind of spotty lately as far as me actually doing it, and you're going to get this really late this afternoon, this evening, in fact, and it's because of stuff that I've been doing during the day and trying to make some money in this, that, and the other thing. So that's just the way it is. That is the logistical reason why the show has been spotty. But I'm going to tell you, there's another reason why the show has been spotty, and that is, growing the show is very difficult. So, you kind of feel like you're talking to yourself for quite a long time. And couple that with the fact that I don't do this just to be popular, because I ain't. A lot of the things that I say are not popular. As a matter of fact, I rarely even discuss this stuff with friends of mine, because I will inevitably say something they won't like. And I just, I don't want that to I don't want that to happen in my life. So I just sort of separate the two halves of it. But at the end of the day, though, I really don't. I'm kind of a hermit. I really don't see my friends all that often. And doing this, I had a talk show for 5 years, and I'm doing the internet thing now, and being up in the grill of politics for such a long period of time. And feeling as deeply about these things as I do, and seeing the things that I do, it's very difficult to recognize that you're sort of all alone out there. There's a lot of lip service from a lot of different people, but no one actually wants to stand up and do anything. As a matter of fact, most of the people in the party that we give a whole lot of power to go in there and fix things simply wants to maintain the status quo. They want things the way they are. They like things the way they are, because right now we're on this trajectory where government gains power. They gain power. And if government loses power, well, then they lose significance, and they don't get to go to the parties, and they don't get to get rich off of your hard work. And I'm sorry, that's just the truth. That is the way things are today. And I come in and I rail against stuff a lot, and I make the point that even the people on the Republican side, they're the ones that I'm most disenchanted with, frankly. Democrats, I know who they are. Republicans are liars, because Republicans are Democrats, but won't tell you about it. Right? That's what they are. They want more power. Democrats want more power. They want more bigger government, and to control central planning, controlling more things. They want socialism. They want communism, in fact, because they're the ruling class and they deserve to control you. And Republicans feel the same exact way. But to maintain the game, they have to have this opposition party. So the Republicans try not to do very well. And then when they win, saying things that are the opposite of the Democrats, and then they get all this power, then they don't go in and fix anything. That's proof positive to me. I don't need any more evidence for my theory. I just don't know if things are going to change. I really don't. And I'm getting to the point personally where I think, wait, what the hell's the point? What the hell's the point? What is it going to take for things to actually get better? From Newsweek, despite President Donald Trump's low approval ratings and record donations for some liberal interest groups, the Republican National Committee continues to dominate the Democrat National Committee in fundraising. The RNC raised $13.5 million in June and has raised $44.7 million on hand. That's the cash that they got compared to just $5.5 million for the Democrats, with $7.5 million on hand. So that's a huge difference in the amount of money that the Republicans are getting in relation to the Democrats. And that means something, right? It means that there's a direction that people want to go. The 1,200 seats of power in this country that drained away from the Democrats during Barack Obama's presidency and were handed to the Republicans. That says something. It says something about the direction that regular Americans want to go, and yet the Republicans just simply disregard it. The Democrats, there's a story from McClatchy. Democrats are winning special elections this year, and not just the ones most people are paying attention to. Yeah, the ones that nobody cares about. In a party desperate for victories, Democrat candidates are finding the most success in little-noticed state legislative races. Oh, they've won a couple of state legislative races. Wow. They've already won 4 seats previously under Republican control, and some of them in battleground districts that split evenly between President Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Oh, we're going to take it. We're going to win, baby. Party leaders say it's a sign that they're benefiting from the broad backlash to the Republican president. You state things very simply, and you do that to sort of make your point, even when it's a lie. Is there a backlash against Donald Trump? No, not really. There's a backlash against people not getting things done. There's a backlash against the Republican Party for not doing what they said they would do, and offering bills like these repeal bills for Obamacare, offering this stuff that's not a repeal bill. It's Obamacare light. You know, it keeps most of Obamacare, but hey, the Republicans put their stamp on it. And of course, it doesn't get broad support. People that I guess are real conservatives or whatever just decide, we're not going to vote for this. This is not what our people wanted. And then it doesn't go through. And they're like, oh, see, the American people hate Donald Trump and his policies. That's simply not the case. But at the end of the day, maybe in, this is still the first year of Donald Trump's presidency. Isn't that amazing? It really, it feels like year 6, doesn't it? Here's the sad part. I'm not sure that it matters a hell of a lot if Republicans win anymore. You know, a lot of people draw a stark conclusion between contradiction between Democrats and Republicans, and certainly there was a big difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the direction the country would have gone, I would imagine. But at the end of the day, with the help of Congress or lack thereof, is there anything that's any different now than before? I mean, the only thing that you could point at and say that, you know, we're on the right track with is immigration. We're starting to move down that line. I mean, the first thing that needed to be done is the current laws that were on the books to be enforced. And to the best of the administration's ability, that is being done, which is not what you would have gotten under President Hillary Clinton. So that's good. But as far as moving the country in the direction that they were asked to move the country, the Republicans seem completely unwilling to do that. And it scares me, frankly. It scares me that these people that have been in power for a while and ostensibly know what we're talking about, maybe they're so much in a bubble that they just don't understand the rest of the country. That very well could be. And they're friends with certain people, so they want to keep their friends happy, or they're just feel like they're superior. I don't know what it is, but it frightens me to think that there are people out there in leadership positions, senators, in fact, that are so disconnected with reality that their only answer is just everybody get along. We need to be nicer. We need to speak better. That's what we need to do. Yeah, my name is Jeff Flake. Republican Senator Jeff Flake, he's got a new book out. He's just another McCain hack, in my opinion. And frankly, I don't know what his voting record is. I haven't really looked into him, frankly. But all it takes is an interview for me to figure out who you are and how you think. So he's got this new book out. It's called The Conscience of a Conservative, A Rejection of Destructive Politics and a Return to Principle. Oh, it sounds, yes, it's very high and mighty. It's a return to principle. I have no idea what the hell conservative principles are. I don't get it. I don't know what it is. Fighting for what's right is not a conservative principle, apparently, because they're unwilling to do it. And Jeff Flake is one of those people. He sat down for an interview on ABC, and it was one of the Sunday shows. Asked several questions, and we've got several responses here, so we're going to get into it. Why did you write this book?
I felt that just like Goldwater had felt in his time 56 years ago when he wrote the original Conscience of a Conservative, that the party had lost its way. And I think similarly today, the party has lost its way. We've given in to nativism and protectionism. And I think that if we're going to be a governing party in the future and a majority party, we've got to go back to traditional conservatism, limited government, economic freedom, individual responsibility, respect for free trade. Those are the principles that made us who we are.
This is one of those guys that, okay, here's some words. I'm going to put some words together that are going to make certain groups happy, and I'll just throw those words out here. We'll put them in a book, and I'll make some money off of it. That's what he's saying, because he doesn't know what he's actually saying. He's just throwing buzzwords out there. That's what he's doing. Oh, we've fallen into this phase of protectionism and nativism. What is he talking about? He's from Arizona, by the way. He's talking about the borders. He wants open borders. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's so angry about. Oh, we can open these borders up, man. Oh, we're being nativist and we're being protectionist. What about our protectionist trade policies? Oh, that's going to kill us, man. Look, let me tell you something. Our trade policies are abysmal. Understand this. A trade deficit and trade surplus, if you want fair trade, if that's what you're talking about, fair trade should be zero. We shouldn't be making money off other countries, and we shouldn't be losing money to other countries. That's fair trade. Free trade is not fair. And in other countries recognize that. Okay? And they do everything they can to protect their own and take as much from the United States as possible, because the United States is the richest ground to sell stuff on the planet. We've got a whole big bag of money over here, or sort of. We're running huge deficits at this point, but we have buying power and we have a huge military. So if we actually owe somebody money and they say, you know what, by God, we want our money back, we'll just say, why don't you come take it? Our military is where our economy sits. Okay, our military is the reason our economy is strong, because people can't come in here and take our stuff. We can just say money is money, and it is, because our money is no longer backed up by gold, and it's backed up by bullets. It is backed up by brass, which is much more powerful than gold. So we need the free trade policies, these free trade policies, which has harmed the United States. And I don't care. Look, the Ben Shapiros of the world, you're just wrong when you start quoting all these economists and what have you. When you have a trade deficit, that means more money is going out than is coming in. Baseline, period. More money is going out than coming in. And any growth you have in the country is based on probably inflation. It's moved from sector to sector, or put in the stock market, which is fake money anyway, right? It's not, these free trade policies are not fair, and they're not helping this country. Sorry, period. That is a fact. There's no way around that. When our trade deficit exists in the billions of dollars a year, tens of billions of dollars a year, in fact, that means, by and large, we're losing billions of dollars a year, every year, subsidizing other countries and other industries. period. And at the end of the day, the United States needs no one else. We're unique in that way. If we wanted to be energy independent, we're energy independent. We've got plenty of natural resources. We have plenty of capability to make food. We have plenty of ability to power ourselves. We do not need anything from any other country. So if we wanted to, we could extend the wall all the way around this country, make it a big dome, and just say, we don't care about anybody else. We're going to take care of ourselves, and we would prosper in that way. Because we don't need the silks from the Far East. We don't need it. We simply don't need it. So this idea that we need to expand is ridiculous. What we need to do is concentrate on the United States of America and get the government out of our lives so that individuals can thrive and start building business at a lower cost point. That's sort of important here. To fix the economy, to fix this country, and to help out the lower classes and middle classes, we have to do what they've done to electronics. Okay? They have to do what they've done to broadcasting. You know, I have several $1,000s worth of equipment in here, but I've purchased it over an extended period of time and blah, blah, blah. If you want a recording studio in your house, if you want a video studio in your house, you can do that for virtually nothing as compared to what it would have cost in 20 years ago even, right? Being able to edit video together like we do today is virtually free. You buy an iPad. Look, you buy an iPad, you've got a video studio right there. A super high quality video studio, by the way. I mean, the things that an iPad will do are so far and above what they had even 20 years ago in the mainstream big studios in this country, that if you were to drop this thing in front of one of those guys back then, they probably would have thought you were God. And I'm not kidding. So what did electronics do? It took the cost point, the price point for getting into mass media and reduced it by 90, 95, 99%. If you want to go out there and create a high quality broadcast, the cost of equipment and whatever you need to make that happen is very, very low. Now, what we need to do to fix the economy, to fix lower class economies, is reduce the price point for getting into business, whatever that business might be. Reduce the cost point. How do you do that? You get government out of the way. It's real simple. You get rid of the licensing. You get rid of the agencies. You get rid of the taxes. You eliminate all those barriers to business, and business will thrive, especially in this day and age where most people don't want to be talked down to by somebody else. And if they've got a half a brain in their head, they're going to try to do it on their own. And if they're any good at it, they're going to succeed. And you know what? Even if they don't succeed the first time, they'll gain experience from that. They may go to another job, work for somebody else for a while, and then try it again later. But you got to keep that price point down for getting into that business. In fact, you got to keep the price point down for moving up the class structure. And that's what they don't want to do. They don't want to break down those barriers between class structures, because if that were the case, then my God, everybody would be rich and we wouldn't be superior anymore. Isn't that amazing? We're still talking about Mr. Flake here. He says it's not enough to be conservative anymore. You just got to be vicious.
Well, if you look at the politics of today, I mean, the tape from last week at the White House and the language that was used then. And we've seen, unfortunately, too many examples of members of Congress and other elected officials using language, referring to your opponents in ways that you would have never done before, ascribing the worst motives to your opponents, and assuming that other Americans are the enemies. And that's just not the way it used to be, and I don't think it can be that way in the future.
It has to be that way in the future, Mr. Flake. What the hell are you talking about? Well, you're just giving motives that aren't necessarily there. I see the riots in the streets. I see the people being dragged out of their cars and beaten because of the color of their skin. Oh, I know who the other side is. It would be nice if you would wake the hell up and know it yourself. Or maybe you're just that person. Oh, they said some things that, the language. And I don't give a good goddamn about their language. I don't care. Wake up, grow up. Oh, you said a naughty word. Grow up. Mr. Flake. Let's talk about some real things, shall we? How we're going to fix some problems, like the problem of you being in the Senate. Maybe you should just step down. If you don't like the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you're not going to be part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Goodbye. We are not fighting against nice people, Mr. Senator. We are fighting against the most evil that has ever inhabited the earth, the left. They are the totalitarians from 5,000 years ago. That's who they are. They haven't left. They are the slaveholders. They are the aristocracy. And they want their power back because they believe themselves to be superior. It is that simple. It is a group of people who know themselves to be better than you and should be in control of you. That's who they are. And here's the problem. You're them too. You feel the same way? Oh, it's just, yes, I'm superior to you, you see, and I know I understand propriety, and the word you say, I'll just say, we can't have that in polite conversation. We certainly couldn't have it in politics today. So, hi, I'm Mr. Jeff Flake, and I'm going to say that I will not be listening to your puffery as you're speaking on the Senate floor, no matter what your point is. I don't like the words you use because they're uncouth. Yeah. It's just not nice. We need nicer politics. Grow up. So, Mr. Flake, how should things be done?
Debt and deficit, for example, healthcare reform. These are things that can't be done by one party. We've just seen the limits of what one party can do, even if you change the rules of the Senate, which we should not do. There are limits to what one party can do. If we're going to solve the debt problem, $20 trillion of debt we have. We're going to be running deficits again, over $1 trillion soon. Those require both parties sitting together and sharing the risk. And it's hard to imagine that can happen when we're ascribing the worst motives to our opponents.
Sharing the risk, what do you mean by that? Well, if we're going to get out of these deficits, we're going to have to tax the people just across the board at 90%. That's the only way we can do it. Yeah, and there's going to be some political risk in that, but we're going to have to do that. So we're going to have to go with both sides of the aisle. So both parties, so the entire ruling class is on board with taxing the population at 90%. That way there's no way to get around it. That way we can just stick a gun to everybody's head and use the military and go in and steal their money. We'll do some more civil asset forfeiture and take 100% of what they've got. That'll get us out of all of this debt over here, but then we can continue to spend. We're not going to reduce spending at all. That's not going to happen. And then eventually no one will be able to function on their own, so they'll just be living off the government. And then we'll just have 100% complete control. And then we'll dictate where people are going to work and how they're going to work. That's how we're going to do it. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Jeff Flake? Is that your policy? What do you mean by risk? What do you mean by risk? That's a very interesting thing that you would have to say. We got to watch out for the risk, man. Yeah. We got to go work with the other side. You saw what we got to work with the other side. One party can't just do it. It's, oh man, there's no way to fix stuff if you're just one party. I know the Republican Party is the most powerful it's been since the Civil War. It's crazy with, 1,200 seat advantage over the Democrats. But man, I got to work with the other side. The American people gave the Republican Party an enormous amount of power, huge amount of power, literally more power than they've had since the Civil War. And the Republicans can't do anything with it. Democrats destroyed and took over the entire healthcare system. And did this with 83% of the population of the United States. 83% of the population of the United States being happy with their health care. The Democrats just came in and took it over and destroyed the whole damn thing. It's amazing what one party can do if they really want to do it. The problem here is you, Mr. Flake, don't want to do anything. You like things the way they are. Yeah. I see through it, buddy. How should Republicans change? How should they change?
And we'd given in to, kind of the politics of personal destruction, and quickly to a lot of spending and other things that really, I think, made the ground fertile for the type of politics that we have today. And that's unfortunate. I think we, as Republicans, kind of gave away the limited government mantle when we spent like crazy 2000, 2006, while Republicans had the majority in both houses and the White House. And then that forced us to delve into the wedge issues, like flag burning, or the case of Terry Schiavo, or things like that. And now we've, I think, taken up a banner that is not familiar to us. This one of intense nationalism and nativism, and sometimes xenophobia.
Yeah, we're all bigots. Everything the Democrats say about us is right. We're horrible people. It is just terrible, and it's all our fault. I wish I wasn't a Republican anymore. We've fallen into the politics of personal destruction. Wow, a Hillary Clinton line. Great. That's wonderful. I'm glad that you could quote Hillary Clinton about the Republican Party. Mr. Republican. Isn't that nice? Who the hell's side are you on here, Mr. Flake? And I will agree with you on this. They gave up the mantle of limited government long ago, but it's because of people like you who don't want limited government. You want to be in control. And wedge issues. We focused on wedge issues like Terry Schiavo. Terry Schiavo was a wedge issue. No. Terry Schiavo was a United States citizen that was ritualistically murdered by her government. Starved to death by her government. That's who the hell Terry Schiavo is. That's not a wedge issue. That's a basic human rights issue, and that's a basic place of government issue. The government should have been there to protect Terry Schiavo, but it costs a lot of money to have the Crippy alive, so let's just kill her. Let's just kill her. Like they did with little baby Charlie over in Great Britain. Just kill him. Who cares? Who cares? Terry Schiavo is just a wedge issue. You disgust me. Then in the interview there, they discuss something that's in Mr. Flake's book. They discuss character.
The tougher path is, frankly...
Oh, wait, wrong one. I hit the wrong one. Is it this one?
You also say this about character. We cannot claim to place the highest premium on character, then abruptly suspend the importance of character in the most vital civic decision that we make. When we excuse on our side what we attack on the other, then we are hypocrites. If we do that as a practice, then we are corrupt. If we continually accept this conduct as elected officials, then perhaps we shouldn't be elected officials. Are Republican leaders complicit in this if they don't call out their president?
I do think so. I think that, obviously, the last thing you want to do is wake up every morning and see a tweet and think, it's tough not to just say, I'm not going to respond, and we can't respond to everything. But there are times when you have to stand up and say, I'm sorry, this is wrong. There are truths that are self-evident. And you've got to stand up and call, whether it's the White House or other elected officials, to task when they're not doing what they should. And I do think that we bear the responsibility, if we're elected officials, to do that.
And we do, people like me, I do call people out like when they don't do well, and I'm calling you out right now, Mr. Flake. But I find it ironic that you're going to point to the Republican Party and tell us all that Republicans in general are hypocrites, especially Trump voters. You're hypocrites. You are complete and total hypocrites. Without bringing up the Democrats and how their entire way of being is completely designed around hypocrisy. Not only what their president has done, 8 years of continuous war that was never talked about, downing and murdering foreign leaders and creating ISIS. No one cares about that. There was no Code Pink out protesting for that. There certainly wasn't a New York Times death toll of soldiers on the front page of every issue during the 8 years of Obama's wars. Nah, none of that. They're not hypocritical, not at all. And that may be true because maybe they're just lying about everything and they don't really have any values. So that if they don't believe anything, they couldn't be hypocrites, right? Maybe that is the case. Maybe they just understand they're incapable of being hypocrites because their true motivation is power, and whatever you have to say to get power is what they're doing, and they've held true to that value. The Democrats and left have held true to that value, so they're not hypocritical in that at all. And one last thing, and this is sort of, I'm kind of parsing words here, but it's this idea that has been popping up, and I've heard it quite a lot lately from a lot of commentators in a lot of different places, speaking on a lot of different things. And it scares the hell out of me.
With the round-the-clock media coverage and social media now, it all kind of drives us apart.
Social media is being blamed for a lot of problems out there, politically and otherwise. Social media being part of the voting system with, the Russians hacked into it and all these things. And they're driving home this social media thing that we've really got to watch out for it. It's changing the way we think. As a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people talking about social media as it is the reason for upticks in crimes and murders and things of that nature. It is an argumentation that they're laying the groundwork for to remove from you your ability to speak. I would say speech in this country, I think it reached a peak, it reached a zenith, and now it's coming back down. But speech in this country is at the highest point, most accurate point that it's ever been. It is where it should have been, and now it's tapering off because government, they're a little afraid that people can actually say the things that they say and get an audience and take away some of their power. So they're using every means necessary to rob from the American people their ability to speak. And I think they're setting up some sort of rationale to completely wipe away the First Amendment. And people like Jeff Flake are going to be right on board with it, and it's going to be a very scary future. Hopefully, I won't live long enough to see it, but unfortunately, I say I'm old. I am old. I'm 39 years old. I think it's going to happen before I'm 50. I think it's going to get that bad. I think it's the attack on the American people coming from the government is going to intensify significantly, and God knows how quickly we'll be in a totalitarian state. Really, God knows. Now, let's move on a little bit. There's another piece here that, of course, there was a vote on the Obamacare repeal, and that didn't happen. It was the repeal replace thing. It probably shouldn't have happened in the first place because it was Obamacare light, and I don't believe we've had a clean repeal vote at all. But ABC's This Week with Martha Raddatz, which is a complete moron, by the way. As a matter of fact, I was going to go through 5 or 10 different things in this, and then I sat there and I started getting a headache. And I'm like, because Martha Raddatz is a ridiculous idiot. And Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price was there, and they get into this discussion about where we're going now, what is going to happen, and what should happen with health care now that some of these votes have gone down.
From a purely political standpoint, the single best thing we can do is nothing. Let it implode completely, but it's not the right thing to do for the American people. It's not the right thing to do.
So what is it going to be? Is he going to let it implode, or, as he says, do the right thing for the American people?
No, I think what the president said is that it's not the right thing to do because it hurts people. The president's passion about this is that he understands that this system may be working for Washington, it may be working for insurance companies, but it's not working for patients. And that's where his passion is. That's why he keeps coming back to this and saying, look, Senate, do your job. Congress, do your job. You've said for 7 years that you are going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Now get to work and get it done.
But this week, he said he was going to let it implode. Is that what he's going to do?
First, I just want to make a little point here. They have not been saying for 7 years we are going to repeal and replace Obamacare. They've been saying for 7 years we're going to completely destroy and dismantle Obamacare. Nothing about replacing it. And that's not what the American people asked for. Just get rid of it. That's what you promised for 7 years, number one. But number two, and I've heard people talk about this, the Rushes of the world have talked about this, this thing is crumbling, it's falling apart, it's just going to implode. So even if we don't do anything, it'll be fine. This thing will implode and then we'll come in and fix it. No. It has to be dismantled. It has to be destroyed. And the government has to be pushed out of healthcare. Those things have to happen. Because the entire point of Obamacare was not to provide insurance for anybody. The point of Obamacare was to make things worse for everyone and increase the hatred of the private sector in the realm of healthcare. You got to remember when Obamacare went into being, and we learned this way back in the 90s when they tried to do Hillary Care, everybody likes our health care. You know why? We're the only industrialized nation in the world doesn't have health care as a right for every citizen? Because we like the health care that we have now. 83%, that's pretty dang good. So against the will of the American people, they impose Obamacare. And, of course, makes healthcare far, far worse. They call it private sector. They call it the marketplace because they want people to believe the market is bad for your health. And they use these buzzwords and they put them together. And over the course of years, people become more and more disenfranchised with it. More and more people die. More and more people go bankrupt because of the healthcare system that we have that's completely dysfunctional. By design, then people will be very open to the concept of a single-payer, government-run healthcare system. That was, from the very beginning, and Gruber and the boys stated as much. The goal of Obamacare was to eventually end up at single-payer. So if you sit here and just let it go and let it implode, it's still not going to go away. What is the point when it implodes? What's the point when it implodes? When you say, okay, well, it implodes. Yeah. What point is that? It's imploded now because it didn't do any of the things they said it would do. Your healthcare isn't cheaper. It's not more robust and abundant. Everything that they promised would happen hasn't happened. Ergo, it's imploded already. It's still here, though, and it's still making things worse on a yearly basis because that's the point. Make the private sector the bad guy. Make it, these dirty, mean healthcare providers. And then people will be open to single payer. It's going to be cheaper for you. Oh, man, it's going to be too much cheaper. So we can't just let it implode. Because if we let it implode, whatever that means, then what's the next option? It's not going to be free markets. It's not going to be more private sector. It's not going to be less government in your life. It's going to be single payer. That will be the only option on the table. That was the point of Obamacare. So no, we can't let it implode. We have to go in there and do a clean repeal, and then we need to start dismantling the things that are standing between you and your health care, like the FDA, like regulations on insurance. And then maybe we'll install loser pays into the legal system so that we can get rid of all these frivolous lawsuits while still protecting a person's right to go to court and get protected in a court of law. If they have a righteous problem and they were wronged, then they can go in there and get it taken care of. Sounds like a plan somebody thought about. Oh, yeah, that was me. Yeah. So we can't let it implode. That's not an option because that is the exact plan of Obamacare. And speaking of single payer, I want to get onto this just really quickly. Bernie Sanders is such a lying piece of crap. Bernie Sanders was on CNN with Jake Tapper, and they were talking about healthcare, and old Bernie is talking about all the stuff that he was talking about. And then Tapper hits him with a question about single-payer healthcare. You know, it's been tried. It hadn't really worked. What do you think about that, Bern?
Well, let's talk about single-payer, because it was attempted in your home state of Vermont, and it didn't work because they couldn't get the funding because it would be too expensive, the Democratic governor said. And then recently it failed in California as well. Democrats, again, not able to come up with a way to pay for it. These are cobalt blue states, Vermont and California, where people wanted single payer, and there were problems because it would cost too much. How do you make it national if you can't even get it in Vermont or California?
It's not No, let's be careful about this.
All right.
A single-payer healthcare system, in my view, and according to studies that I have seen, would save the average family significant sums of money. And what Republicans sometimes do is confuse the issue. And they say, well, you're going to pay more in taxes. What they forget to tell you is that if you were a family of four, now paying $15,000 or $20,000 a year in private health insurance, you're not going to be paying that at all. Once again, if you look at Canada's single-payer healthcare system, per capita, their costs are far, far less than the United States. If you look at the UK, if you look at countries around the world, all of which have different approaches to a national healthcare system, in every instance, they are spending substantially less per capita than we spend in the United States, substantially less for prescription drugs. The problem with our system is it is so complicated for the consumer, for the doctors, is that a hospital, for example, might be dealing with 15, 20, 30 different insurance policies. It takes an enormous amount of time, energy, and expense to figure out that you have a $5,000 deductible, you have a $10,000 deductible. The goal simply is to say that every person in this country, through a single-payer system, is entitled to a comprehensive health care approach, and that will save substantial sums of money in administrative costs, substantial sums of money in lower prescription drug costs, substantial sums of money in doing away with the profiteering of the drug companies.
Okay. So there you go. It hasn't worked. Okay. We tried it in Vermont and California. They said, no, it's going to be too expensive. And they said, wait. He never really answered the question, right? Oh, no, it's going to be much cheaper per capita. Yeah, it's much cheaper per capita. We're going to spend less per capita. Really? Well, okay. Then why would Vermont and California say, we can't afford this? Right? It's impossible. But beyond that, I find it interesting that they say, Canada, Great Britain, they spend far less per capita on healthcare. What does that mean? That means they don't care about their people. It means they don't care. How long does it take to get a knee replaced or a hip replaced in Canada? 10 years? A decade? I'm not making that up. How long does it take in the United States? A week? Because they don't spend any money. It's rationed care. It means there's no care. And let me tell you something, people. Which one would you rather? Would you rather pay for your health care in money or in enormous suffering over a decade because your government doesn't give a shit about you? Which one do you want? Mr. Sanders, explain to me that. Has anyone asked Mr. Sanders to his face, how long does it take to get a knee replaced in Canada? How long? You're elderly, you need a knee replaced. How long does it take? And then juxtapose that to the United States of America. How long does that take? Somebody asked him that question. Is it worth nationalized health care and higher taxes to sit and suffer for 10 years? Is it worth it? Could you even work like that? What if you did have to work? What if you're a little younger? Maybe you pop something or whatever it is, and they say, well, you go into the emergency room. It takes 2 days to see a doctor in there, in your Canadian healthcare system. They finally go in and they say, well, yeah, this looks messed up, man. Guys say he's 35, 40 years old. This looks bad. We may need to do some surgery. We may need to do some stuff. I'm going to send you a specialist. You get an appointment with that specialist 6 months from then. It takes you 6 months to go see the specialist. Then you have to go see the surgeon. That's another 6 months. Then they got to schedule you a surgery. That could be anywhere between a year and 5 years. And all that period of time, you have to go to work crippled. Or maybe you can't even work. Maybe you're just at home on disability or something. Or maybe you don't even have that. I don't know. Because that's how it works in Canada. No one wants to talk about that. He says the problem with our healthcare system is it's so complicated. Oh, there's so many insurance policies and who's got the deductible and I don't know what I'm doing. Is it the insurance companies that are making it too complicated? You know, the insurance companies are there motivated by money. So and the people that are paying and paying out and this, that, and the other thing are their customer is actually the doctor's office there. So you would think it would behoove them to work well together so that they can get some money. Is it the insurance company? Or is it government regulation? The stacks and stacks and reams of government regulations that you don't even know about. No one knows about. They don't go through Congress. It's just the FDA just creates them. And they can steal a lot of money that way. The reason drugs are so expensive and they take such a long time to get to market and kill so many people is because it takes so long to get to the FDA. And the FDA doesn't really check those drugs. Look, the FDA is an agency that is set up to safeguard an industry, yet no one faces any criminal liability for their actions. So if the FDA wants, they can approve a drug or whatever it is for whatever reason and say, look, you want your drug on the market tomorrow? Fine. Give us, a couple of $1 million a piece and we'll do it. It'll just happen. We're going to and we'll fast track this drug so that it's good for, we really need this drug. We're going to fast track it. And then 10 years later, we find out it's a bad drug because the FDA didn't actually do the things that they were supposed to do to get the drug, to the public. And who faces the liability for that? It's not the regulators at the FDA. No one goes to jail there. No. It's the drug companies that face all that liability. And you wonder why drugs are so expensive. How much is the FDA and its officials skimming off the top? Don't tell me they're not. Well, you can't prove it. I don't have to prove it. You have to prove that it's not happening because this is government. We're talking about the people with force and the guns. You have to prove to me you're not a citizen. The FDA is not a citizen and is not innocent until proven guilty. No. And by the way, they certainly couldn't be a citizen, and none of the people within that agency can be a citizen, at least while doing work, because they're not liable for anything that they do. They're not liable for any decisions they make. They are not citizens. When you are working for the FDA or any other government agency and you're asserting authority and power over other people, you are no longer a citizen. You're no longer even a person because you are not liable for anything that you do. And that is a function of reality that no one else understands. We're all responsible for that which we do because we're citizens, because we're people. That's the way it works. But you're not. God, that'd be great, wouldn't it? And you know what? We're going to get all that profiteering out there. Yeah, we're going to get rid of the profiteering. Yeah, because the profit motive has never brought us good things before. And all the best stuff comes from nonprofit agencies, right? All the best stuff comes from government. It's just about stealing, and it's just about socialism and communism, and it's just about taking from you. That's all Bernie Sanders wants to do. That's all he knows how to do, is take from other people. He's a giant thief, and he wants the entire country to be his gun. One quick thing before we get out of here. Oh, first, I want to read this piece for you in relation to the healthcare. And they're always bringing up Canada and Great Britain. Oh, such a wonderful healthcare system. Man, they spend far less than we do. Little quick one from the Daily Wire. For those who extol the virtues of socialized medicine and protest that it could never, never, never lead to rationing, here's a wake-up call from Great Britain. Health experts in Great Britain are warning that obese people and smokers will be routinely refused operations across Great Britain in the very near future. These latest cases come in from North Yorkshire, where patients are having a BMI of 30% or 30 or higher, and smokers will be refused routine surgery over a year if it's not life-threatening. That's right. That means standard hip knee operations. You're not going to get them ever because you're a fatty. Local system, according to the Yorkshire Clinical Commissioning Group, CCG, the local system is under severe pressure. Hospitals are being warned that they are not being paid for surgery if they carry out operations on obese patients who are not exempt from the policy. This work will help to ensure that we get the best value from the NHS. That's a scary phrase. The best value, what does that mean? The best value for the NHS? No, the NHS is supposed to bring the best value to the people, meaning you take care of them when they are sick, regardless of who they are. They're Britain, right? But they want better value for the NHS, meaning we're only going to take care of the people that matter in our society. If you smoke, you do something that we don't like, or if you're a bit too fat, we don't want your genes in our gene pool, you big fatty, you disgusting, malodorous pervert. I don't, it could be. Once again, it's not just rationing care, it's rationing people. And when you give the government the power, the authority to pay for your health care, you also give them power and authority to remove it from you. It's that simple. How many people do you want to kill, Bernie? It's a simple question. How many people do you want to kill? Who do you want to stop giving health care to? Who do you want to decide? How many people do you want under your thumb so that you can decide if they live or die? Because I know that's what you want. That's the ultimate high. That's the ultimate erection there, is if you can just decide who lives and who dies. That's what Bernie Sanders wants. And one quick thing about global warming, another hoax exposed. The Australia Weather Bureau apparently tampered with climate change numbers. Daily Caller reports, for the second time in just a few years, the Bureau of Meteorology, or the BOM. It's a good thing it's not just the BM. It could be the Bureau. Anyway, in Australia has been caught red-handed tampering with climate temperatures as a means to make a slight cooling trend to one of a dramatic warming trend over the past century. Of course, this has happened with a lot of people. We know this is going on, and it is the only way that the conspiracy theory of global warming can stick around. All right, that is it, my friends. Michael Newman wrapping up the show. Thank you for joining me. Please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. There you can get the links for today's stories. You can also contact me via email. You can also send me a tweet, Newmaniac1. Please follow me on Twitter. That's cool. And then support the show. I need to help as much as possible. If I could just limit what I do to this show and making this show better, I would be a very, very happy person. But we're not there yet, my friends. So spread the show around. Let's grow the show and get as many people listening as possible, and see if we can't make it a bit more profitable. That would help me out a whole lot. Have a great evening.
Wow, see ya.